All right, Eddie, first of all, we appreciate you coming, allowing us to be here in your space on a Saturday.
Amen.
Man, it means a lot to us. Every time we're in a pinch to talk to somebody, or we need an outlet or a piece of network to reach out to somebody to complete the mission, it seems like you're always stepping up and giving us a leg up, or being the bridge and the conduit from point A to point B. So we're very blessed to have you in our lives, man, and very blessed to have you on this journey with us.
Yeah.
And so thank you from Levels, from Dark Visors. We just appreciate you, bro.
My guys, which one we gonna do? We gonna hit that, and we gonna hit this.
We'll get it all, Eddie.
We gonna hit that,
Thank
and
you.
we gonna hit this. Let's go.
Eddie, thank you so much.
What a
Everything
gift.
Drew said, man, thank you so much. You really have been a blessing to us, and just helping us navigate through situations and finding people, or putting us in contact with the right person to get to the next step. So thank you.
Well, I have to say, you guys have been really the conduits, because at the end of the day, these kids need platforms in order for them to be the best version of themselves. So I want to thank Dark Visors and Levels App. You know what's up. I want to thank Levels App for you guys having me on the show. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things that we wanted to start off talking to you about is just how you got into training, why you got into training, and some of the difference in your approaches between developing an athlete and developing a non-athlete.
Wow, great question. I think for me, if I go back a little historical context,
Please.
Obviously, used to play for the Redskins, now the amazing Commanders, who are doing an absolutely great job. Really, for me, it's a passion. I mean, fitness, health, and wellness has always been something I've always committed myself to. From martial arts, when my mom put me in martial arts when I was a little kid, from the time that I used to look at Muscle Magazine with Arnold Schwarzenegger, to the time that when I was growing up, just learning about fitness, health, and wellness. Had some tremendous strength coaches over the course of my career, and was always had a curiosity about the human body. So fitness, performance has always been something that's always, I really try to pride myself on as an athlete too. Being in better shape than the guy that I was competing against. Being bigger, being faster, being stronger than that guy, and most importantly, having the mental toughness. And so I think when I retired, the thing that I really tried to learn was through John Philbin, actually, who was one of my strength coaches at the Commanders. He really taught me a lot about the building blocks of what really requires to develop a student athlete. And I think through his mentorship, his tutelage, that's really why I would say I really took off post-career. And really my main thing, honestly, was to give back to the community. I wanted to use fitness, I wanted to use sports performance training as a platform to teach and educate kids, basically give them the keys to the kingdom, but also the blueprint, right?
Right.
To teach them things that I learned, mistakes that I made, and help them kind of bridge their gap as to how they can create success in their own academic, personal, spiritual, and physical life. So that's really what it's about for me.
I love that.
Yep.
So to talk to the point of you're training athletes, but you also train, their parents.
Yeah.
So I've seen some folks of older age in here as well. So how did you get from just the athlete to the everyday mom, dad, or even the non-athletes?
So this is a very, very intense, a great question, but it's an intense answer.
Okay.
Honestly, I think it was 2003. Yeah, that's when I retired. 2003, I retired. I did an internship at Gold's Gym. James Thrash and I, you guys remember James? James Thrash and I did an internship at Gold's Gym, and literally, man, I was in the back training a client and learning the whole business of, because at that point we really wasn't sure what type of gym we wanted to open. It was going to be big box, was it going to be a boutique type shop, performance shop, whatever, because you got to do your homework.
Have to have an edge, yeah.
Man, dude dies on the floor up front. True story. Guy walks in the gym, has a massive heart attack, dies on the floor. Really changed my whole dynamic in terms of, because as an athlete, you think like we're invincible, right?
Right.
Until you see invincibility. And that right there really that was the first box, right? That kind of got me kind of locked my focus in around health and wellness for adults. Flash forward a year later, Kevin Mitchell, one of my greatest teammates, man, played alongside his bro. Man, he has a massive heart attack in his sleep. Right, dies. His wife is pregnant at the time, Denise. Amazing mother, amazing woman. They had 2 little kids, and she was pregnant with their third. That one right there, like that sealed the deal for me. Like I knew there needed to be greater education on health and wellness. People need to take care of themselves. And the reality is, as an athlete, and I'll tell you guys who are retired, you got to take care of yourself. Yeah. You got to take care of yourself. You can't assume that everything's okay because you used to be in shape. Shape is a lifestyle. Being in shape is a lifestyle. It's something that you have to embody. It got to be something that it's not about a physical look. It's about a commitment to yourself and you becoming the best version of you. And I think your health is your wealth, because at the end of the day, you can work all day long, but if you don't take care of yourself, all that money is going to be spent one or two ways. Either going to be spent in the hospital or you're going to be spent on vacation. So you get to choose which one.
That's right.
And so for me, I choose to take care of myself every day, 5 days a week. I'm working out. I do my recovery. I do my spiritual health. You know what I mean? Take care of myself. I keep my relationship with God number one, and that's kind of how I do life. But those 2 incidents is really what sealed the deal for me in terms of health and wellness. I don't play around with it. And when people come into this building, I want them to know, number one, that you're supported, that there's real, genuine support here for student athletes and adults. Because, most of the time people are not intentional about their lives. They're not really intentional. And I think the one thing that I always try to minister to people is you got to be intent. When God gives you 24 hours, you got to take it serious.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
So your approach to athletes and to non-athletes, would you say, other than the workout approach, is there a difference in the mental approach and the spiritual approach, or is it pretty much the same approach when you're training athletes and non-athletes?
First thing come to mind, you got to be a teacher.
Okay.
And you need to discern as a coach where that student athlete is. I've been around coaches that only want to coach the good kids, right? And then I've been around coaches who, they can coach both. You got to be a teacher and you got to be a developer.
Right.
If you can't teach, if you don't have the wisdom to coach the game, you don't have the ability to teach, you can't develop. And develop requires patience. I think those are the things I've tried to pride myself on as a coach, being a teacher, learning how to develop. What is he or she deficient in? Because then if they don't have balance, then I got to teach them what? Balance. I can't put you in the weight room, right? You got this beautiful weight room behind us, and you don't know how to balance your own body weight. What are you doing on squats? I can't do that. It's kind of like you reverse engineering an individual, whether it's an adult or a kid, or in this case, the question, a athlete that's developing into a better athlete, or an athlete that has the genetic code already from mom and dad that can jump. They have leaping ability, got power, they got speed, they have all the assets. The difference between those two is one is in the developmental phase and one is in a performance phase of development, meaning that I need to find out what makes that athlete, that real athlete, I need to make what makes them tick, what drives them, what's your engine, what's your why, right? What's your why? Why are you really doing this? What's your end goals?
It's interesting.
Because God has given you all of these skill sets, but however, I've seen so many, how many of us have seen athletes who are kind of like, they got all the pieces. I've seen it at all levels. Right. I've seen it at high school, college, and pro. I've seen guys, I'd be like, man, that dude is a freak of nature.
Yep.
But somewhere along the way, developmentally, they didn't develop the discipline. Right? And then I've seen guys who are what I call blue collar guys like myself, didn't have all the genetic code, but it was great enough athlete to work hard enough to develop themselves into a really, really good athlete.
Yep.
Because of self-discipline.
I can relate to that.
Makes sense?
I was that guy the same way. I wasn't the biggest, wasn't the fastest, wasn't the strongest, but I was going to outwork you. Right. And I knew how to create great enough relationships with the right people in order to help me get across that bridge to the next level.
Correct.
Right. So I said the right things. I did the right things. I showed up at the right time. Right. And I think it's interesting what you're saying. There's definitely a difference between like that group training and dishing out training that advocates for an entire group, but actually taking that personal training and personal approach where, not all athletes are the same and not all athletes are wired the same. And so the things that I do for the developmental athlete, it's going to be different than the things I'm going to be doing for the athlete that I'm trying to drive higher performance from.
Correct. And here's when you become really good at coaching, you know how to take groups.
Right.
Like, you know, when I coached DBs back
Right.
in the day, right? At Stonebridge. And so we would have guys who are very highly skilled guys.
Right.
And then we have guys who they have skill, but it hasn't been developed. And so it's my job as a coach. I've always judged myself as a coach on how I can coach the worst guy. Because for me, coaching the best athletes is easy.
Right.
Everybody want those guys.
They do.
I mean,
Everybody.
that's why Power Five.
They do it all
Power
right.
Five guy. I mean, who doesn't want a 5-star recruit, right?
You see a lot of these guys now,
Right.
they won't even talk, they won't even train a kid unless he's already has an established rapport
Correct.
with the athletic community.
And that won't put that on social media and all this stuff.
Exactly.
But for me, I judge myself as a coach on, and I'm not gonna call names, but there's a guy that comes here and he's now an adult, and he was, when I coached linebackers at Stonebridge, nobody wanted to play this kid, but I loved him because I was like I can help this kid.
I get this kid right.
I can get this kid right. And I really, he never really played for us. However, I saw his progression over 4 years. And for me, I took more pride in that, knowing that I was able to spend time with this kid. And not only this, that gave him confidence.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I'm a big picture guy. I always think like, how can I take this young student athlete who maybe some coach doesn't want to coach and turn him into a better man, right? Give him confidence and then teach him the fundamentals of football, because he may wind up being a what? Coach one day.
Right, exactly.
Who knows?
Exactly.
And now at least I've taught him the game.
Those make the best coaches.
Correct.
Yeah.
They make the best coaches. I've equipped him on how to be patient with coaching athletes, which translates into life.
Yep.
I've teaching him self-discipline. I've teaching him fundamentals, and I've also teach him to encourage.
Right. Right.
Encourage.
Right.
There's no fast track to development. It's process. And you have to have patience with that. And we live in this microwave society now with NIL and all these things now where everybody wants that guy that can do whatever. But if you can't, and we all know this.
Yep.
Good athletes don't always translate into great players.
It's true.
That's so
Now
true.
you can tweet that right there. You can put that on social media. Right. You can put that on social
what
media.
what I like that you said, right, is your basis is turning you into a good person, male or female. That's your
Fact.
starting point. You're
Period.
not talking about sports. You're talking about life.
Life.
Because life, you'll learn sports. You'll translate life from sports.
Correct.
So you're already starting at the most important level, which is
Fundamentals.
life, you as a person. And I know who you're referring to, so we won't name drop, but I know who you're referring to.
Yep.
And he's a great kid.
Great
He's a
kid,
great
man.
kid.
Yep.
And you did a great job with him, because I did see the confidence change when we met him to his
Yep.
last year
Yep.
at Stonebridge.
Yep.
So I did see that, and he probably should have played, but that's
Yep.
another conversation
No,
for
yeah,
another
no,
day.
yeah. Yep.
But no, for me, I just loved how you focus on life.
Yeah.
Like that is big. Like make you a better person.
It starts and ends there, because at the end of the day, we know sports is a limited window, right? Some will stop at high school, some will stop at college, some will be fortunate enough like us to play at the pro level. But the reality is, at some point, it's going to stop.
Right.
And I never want a kid to come to me and be like, "Man, you were the worst coach," because man, you
Coulda, woulda,
you
shoulda,
beat me
yeah,
up. You
yeah.
beat me up as a player.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I've been blessed. I thank God for this. Most of the kids that I see, and when they're older, I've been through now. Shoot, my oldest kids now have come back. Adrian Mimes is probably one kid. Fred on the other side of this camera. These guys have families now. That's how long I've been doing this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where guys, they have kids. Some of them got 3 generations of kids. So I've been doing this a long time. So for me, it's about teaching them how to be great young women and great young men who will one day be mothers and fathers who will raise great families. And they'll go on to teach that to somebody else because of their experience with me and people like me that coach this game.
Right. Speaking of coaching the game, Eddie, we've been through a lot of different eras in football,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to the recruiting process.
Oh, man.
What do you feel like is the major difference between the recruiting process before COVID and after COVID? Like, what major differences are you seeing?
Can I take it back a little bit further?
Yeah, take it further back, man, please.
Because I need to help some people out here to the old school too. You know what I'm saying? We need to take it back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of like listen to an old record.
Yeah,
you take it off and you dust.
The recruiting encyclopedia, man.
You need
Give
to
it
blow
to
some
us.
dust off
That's
this thing
right.
and then drop the needle on it. Some of y'all don't know nothing about that. Y'all know about CDs and MP3s and all that and the little iPad. You know, you went to your iPhone. Now we talking about the dust on the vinyl. So we gonna blow some dust off this athletic vinyl real quick. Really what I'm talking about is I was raised in that era. This is for all young, old generation. We talking about generational sports, right? The ethos of how everything started. I was raised by a coach, Phil Center, who God rest his soul, who was probably a father figure to me. How many coaches can say that your kids look to you as a father figure, or male or female? We can pause right there. Right? How many of your kids look to you as a father figure or mother figure? You may say that's not my responsibility, but as a coach, it is. When you look at all the great coaches throughout history, they have what? They have built on building what? Sound relationships.
Right.
Everything in this game is about relationships. In order to help players become the best version of themselves and play for you hard, you have to be relational and relatable. Players got to know that you care about them, that you love them, and that you want the best for them, whether they're your starter or they're the non-starter. You know what I'm saying? You want to be that type of coach. So that was poured into me from Phil Center. John, Coach John. It was also poured into me from Coach Mac Brown, Coach Carl Torbush, Coach Tony Dungy, Coach Marvin Lewis, Coach Marty Schottenheimer, Coach, there's many more coaches.
Some legendary names right there.
Yeah.
My past Pastor Chester Mitchell, who's now my new coach, my spiritual coach, right? Every one of these people were servants, servant leaders. Every one of them was relational. Every one of them was held you to the fire of accountability. But you loved them because you know they genuinely what? Cared about you. It's hard to get the best out of people as a coach, a mentor, a person, a father, mother, if those people don't know that you care about them. So I think there's an intrinsic qualities that people need to have within them in order to bring the best out. Going back to your question, how is it impacted since COVID? I think the biggest thing right now is that we're looking at a new era of sports. I was just having this conversation with somebody. I think we're all adapting and adjusting to this new world of sports. It's a whole new world, literally, not no Disney intended, but it's literally a whole new world. Because the way I look at it, pre-COVID, you guys were with us throughout that entire time, right? Mm-hmm. Dark Visor rode deep with us during those times. That was a very difficult moment. What made it so difficult was pre-COVID was we got a bunch of kids who we thought was probably one of the best classes probably come through that program, who were tremendously gifted student athletes, both on and off the field. These kids get zero opportunities. Jacob Thomases, Eli Masons, Carter Sweezies. These guys, if they were in today's class, right? When we look at the guys who are getting offers and offers that have been presented, you telling me those guys wouldn't be in those conversations? They wasn't in none of them conversations, which shows you that was the first, what I call the first wave of disruption. That was the first wave of disruption. Post-COVID, transfer portal comes, right? Transfer portal comes into play. Now you're looking at colleges now adapting to, okay, portal's open now. Now we can go basically build a team literally overnight. That was what we call college free agency, right? So now, I want to keep my job. I want to keep our program competitive. Do I want a kid that I have to bring in, develop over the course of 4 years, right? Or do I want to go in a portal and pull me out a guy that's already have collegiate experience, understands how to handle the academic regimen, right, already physically developed.
Game ready. Yep.
Game ready.
Yep.
I go get that guy. It's an easier part for me. Now think about this. We're in 22, 23. Or 22, 23, 21, 22, a part of 23. Now we're in 24. Now it's reversed. Now they're coming to get the what? High school kids. Now they're back recruiting in high school, not that the portal's not important, but we got to understand, and I don't want to get into the math of it, but I would probably say a good majority of those kids that go in the portal never what? They never come out.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the kids don't understand this. Like, you're literally basically eradicating your athletic career because you don't want to fight through the hard stuff. Because at the end of the day,
That's it.
That's majority of what it is.
yeah, you know, we go back to we've entitled the kids to you know, through the payment, right, through the NIL. So now kids become entitled because now I've handed you money, and I've said this is your value and your worth to us. If it's 100,000 or 50 or 500,000, which is astronomical, average quarterback in collegiate sports now getting $1 million.
Yeah.
I'm a high school player. Archie, the Manning kid, what did he get? $3 million or
He's
something?
got more than the starting quarterback.
The Lamborghini deal.
Yep.
All this stuff. These guys are driving Lamborghinis, doing it. And I don't mean to mention his name, but I'm just using it as an example.
Sure.
You know, as an example of where college sports is. When we're in college, bro, it was a training table, go to class, get up 6 a.m. or whenever your workout time was, be on time for all meetings, go to practice. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And that settled it. And you had this internal drive, like whether your goal was to go be a doctor, lawyer, whatever, or go to the NFL, or both, right? It's kind of like your drive. You had this engine inside you, like aspiring for something. If I give you something, right, are you going to value that?
No, probably
You
not.
don't. It's kind of like your kids, right? If you give your kids everything, they value what?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Go and tweet that too. If I give you everything, you value what?
Nothing.
I'm going to say it one more time. If I give you everything, you value what? Nothing. So it really comes back to this premise of like, how much is too much?
Right.
We got to bring balance to this system. I'm okay with kids getting paid. You know, my philosophy is if I was overcharged of everything, I say all that money goes into trust at the time of your graduation or whenever you decide to leave that university. If you transfer, you can't get that money until your athletic career is over. That money's in trust, gaining interest, doing whatever, your room and board's taken care of, your whatever. Now, if you need suits and clothes or you know, or transportation, then you make that stipend available for them to go buy the car. But don't put all that money in these kids' hands immediately, because put it in trust, in a trust fund for them. So when they get done playing, at least they still know, like, I still got to go through that process.
You need the golden carrot.
Yeah, there's something at the end of this that's making me drive. And then you level the playing ground, because I think where coaches have been quandary, if you're a donor and I give you $100,000 to go get this amazing recruit over here, they're requesting 200. I got to go over to this donor and be like, hey, on the collective, hey, this kid's asking for 250. You guys can write the check for me. Yeah, okay, so we got the check. Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Ma'am. The kid comes in, got to play. Kid ain't ready. But we got to play because
I just paid $250.
I just paid
$250. I
where
went on the field.
Where my $250 at? Because I was at last week game.
Right.
I ain't see number such and such. Where they at?
You say he was the best thing
You
since.
said he was the best thing since such and such. Where he at? So now the coaches have pressure. And what is that taking away at the baseline of this conversation? What you've taken away is the developmental cycle and process that it really takes to become great.
Right. It's pay for play.
It's pay for play.
Right.
You've taken away the process. And we all know, we all over here play sports. You all know there's a start and a ongoing process of development. And usually when you come in from high school to college, usually athletes are not what? They're not ready to play.
Ready.
There's a few guys that are freaks of nature that we know they exist.
Yep.
Right? But ain't but a handful of guys like that. Out of our class, I'm going to give a perfect example. Out of our class, and this would have been in 1990, the only guy played out of our class was Natron Means. You know, Natron went on to be great at San Diego.
Yep.
He was a monster, right? He was that dude. He should have played freshman year. He was the only guy. Now, we had 12 guys out of our class go play in the NFL. 12. Out of that red-shirted class, alongside with Nate, it went 13. That's crazy. That was a class.
That's a class right
That's
there.
a class.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so But all of us worked our butts off, freshman, sophomore, junior year. You know what I'm saying? Red shirt junior year, senior year.
Right.
Then we all wind up playing. But it came at a very high cost of development, summer training, winter training, spring balls. You know what I mean? Us hanging together, us working together. And I think like that's the thing that if I could, you know, wave a wand and just be like, what would I want changed in today's sports? That, man. Like that's what's missing. Everybody want things quick. And it don't happen like that. And I think that's what's, it's not only hurting the athletes, it's hurting our society and community. We're raising a bunch of entitled kids to think like everything's given to you because you possess a certain amount of ability. Well, okay, I pose a different question. What happens when your ability go away? Or an injury happens?
Right. What do you have to offer now?
Or life, something happens in life that, you know what I mean? What happened now?
So that spins us back to your point of you raising a person first, because now your ability is gone. So now your self-confidence is gone because you didn't build yourself.
Right.
You put all your value
into your
athletic ability. And you were so focused on developing the athlete, you never developed the person.
That's
Make sense?
That's
That
a
makes
bar.
sense. Yeah. We can tweet that one too.
Yeah, we can tweet that one.
You got 3 tweets on it already, so there go the third one.
So did you want to ask the question about the recruiting process as the dad?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
like, Drew and I are both parents of young boys. We have very young kids, right? So being also yourself, being a father of a son, what was the process for you walking Eli through his recruiting process as you actually went through it yourself?
Yeah.
So what was it now you're doing it for your son?
That was because, again, he had a very unique situation. Elisha was a late offer kid. Had a couple of small offers his junior year, going into his junior year. Didn't really run well. He never ran well in the 40 up into his senior year. And so his long speed was always his thing because he was a good in-traffic runner, could give you the 20, 30 yards, but the home run hitters, he didn't really have a lot of those until the game against Highland Springs, right? When he went down the sideline for the 80-yard run and outran those 5-star kids. And then it was like, oh. And that's when schools, Carolina and Maryland, those schools started offering him PWOs, and he had other offers from Navy and William and Mary and other schools. But Elisha was a kid, like for me, the Naval Academy, and I'm going to be very transparent here, and I'm going to be vulnerable in this moment because I need parents to understand. When you're in the process of recruiting, right, as a parent, I was a coach at the time too, but when you're in it as a parent, you have to give ownership over to your son or your daughter. Because for one is your experience is invaluable to help guide them. You're kind of like the guardrails, if you will. So as you guys, sons and daughters, as they come through that process, you just be the guardrails. Don't let them fall off the course. Keep them kind of more in the presence of understanding the academic requirements, right?
Yes.
We made Elisha take dual enrollment. He graduates in 2.5 years, right? That's crazy. 2.5 year graduate. He graduates in December. Now he still has 2 more years of eligibility at Maryland. So now he's a grad student. So that's appealing to a program, right? Because now he's a kid with playing experience. He's a high academic achiever. He goes through these things, but that all started in high school.
Low risk, high reward guy.
Yeah, low risk, high reward. So he's not gonna he's not gonna mess up the character of your team. We focused on high character academics, him being able to have access to the schools that most couldn't get into, the Yales, the William and Marys, being able to have a high academic achievement so that he had more options, right? He wasn't just leaned down to these football programs that were powerhouses, right?
Sure.
We wanted to expand his horizon, so he had options, which he did. Naval Academy was one of them, which for me, I was like, oh man, like, bro, you got the Naval Academy, but couldn't overcome 7 years of service. Because people are thinking like, oh, I'm just going there to play football. No, you gotta serve at the end of that term
It's
too.
a commitment.
It's
Yeah.
commitment.
Yeah.
So
Double commitment.
for a young student athlete, at the academies, we would say, for the military academies, they're great opportunities. You know, when you go to those campuses, man, I was like, man, this could, you know, as a father, I'm like, man, this is the ultimate, like, this is the stamp. You literally, you're writing your ticket. Your ticket's
For
done.
the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life,
Yeah.
it's done.
Yeah. Guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's a wrap. You know, you're an officer in
Right.
the military, United States of America.
Right.
You're the cream of the cream. You're now charting to X. That wasn't his path. That's not what he wanted. He wanted to challenge himself in a different way, which I respect. It was hard as a dad, but again, be the guardrails, right?
Yep.
Still keep him on process. So for me, I'm sitting back and I'm thinking to myself, like, man, was that the right decision? But then come to this, we talk about relationship, right? He gets on the phone with Coach Elijah Brooks. Shout out to my man. Tremendous coach. Man, up at Virginia Tech now. One of the best human beings I ever met in my life. Great family guy, loves God. Very rare you see that at this level, especially at the Power 5 level. Loves God, loves his family, beautiful kids, beautiful mom and dad. You know what I'm saying? Like really won the heart of our son. Knew everything about him, done his homework, knew exactly what his development was, honest with him.
I love that.
Told him straight up, like, this is what it is. You know what I mean? This is where we see you. This is where we project, right? Kept his word. Kept his word true. Man of his word. Integrity, right? These are the things when you think about what am I looking for? Don't look for the checkbook. Look for the person, the coach, because he's going to be spending a lot of time with your son or daughter. And you got to understand, like, they could write a check, but how they going to treat them?
Right.
They could break their whole, they could ruin your son or daughter's confidence, their ability to believe in themselves. And then ain't no more transition points.
Right.
You are now, after college, you going into real what? Life. I don't want my son around some dude that's not going to pour into him as a young man, you know what I'm saying, and not going to be there, support him when he's going through a loss of whatever he's going through, or he's dealing with some personal issue. I want a man or a woman that's going to be there for my son or daughter that's going to be like, nah, I got you.
Right.
Like Mac Brown and Carl Torbush. I can still call Mac. I bet you I can text Mac Brown right now. He'll respond.
Right.
That's the type of relationship he built with us. I view Mac as a second father. You know what I mean?
Right.
I view him as a mentor. I respect that man to the highest. Carl Torbush, before he passed away, you know what I mean, last year from cancer, that man was a father figure, had us over his house, took care of us individually, made sure. That's how I got saved. Carl Torbush. Carl Torbush brought me to the Lord, man. Like, this man cared about me genuinely. He brought me in his office and told me straight up, man, I thought I was in trouble, because I did used to get in trouble, by the way. You know what I'm saying? I was that dude.
I find that hard to
You know
believe.
what I'm saying? But I wasn't always saved. You know what I'm saying? The Lord, if Jesus can save anybody, if he can save me, he can save you for sure. You know what I'm saying? That's a 100% guarantee. I know if Jesus can save me, he can save anybody. But point of the matter is, Carl Torbush brought me into his office, man, and literally was like, I want to talk to you. And I was like, oh, man. I was thinking about last night what I did. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking, like, did he find out about that? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, he didn't guide me. How did he find out about that? You know what I'm saying? I'm like that. And but that wasn't what he bought me. He says, Eddie, he says, I love how you play the game. He said, but you play it with the wrong spirit. And what he was saying was, you play the game out of anger. He says, that's not how you play the game. He said he played the game with passion and intent. He said, and that's when he brought me to the Lord, and he was sharing with me about character and talked to me about a whole lot of other things, man. But it made me realize, like, I was carrying pent-up anger from my father. Like, I was trying to hurt people on the field, try to take it out on people. He was like, that's not how you play this game of life. You definitely don't play the game of football like that. So can you imagine a coach at that moment taking time out of his schedule, his day, to care enough about me, to see something in me that I didn't even see in myself? You know, to share something with me, to help me become a better person. Those moments you never forget. They're monuments. They're monuments. You know what I mean? So
That's that building block of that relationship.
correct.
Yeah.
And that's what poured into me. And people say, why you coach the way you coach? Because of that.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. Plenty of kids getting NIL money that's in the transfer portal. Plenty of kids.
And plenty of kids going in the transfer portal that we've seen that ruin their, they're at a Power 5, and then they end up not at a Power 5, and they're still not playing.
Still not playing.
Yeah.
I got multiple examples of that. And that's probably the saddest part about the whole NIL thing is the fact that, we have so many kids that don't quite understand the systematic thing now. We have now transitioned to answer this question. We have now transitioned to the era of free agency in college football. It is purely business. It's not personal anymore. Kids need to understand that. Parents need to adapt. They need to adjust. They need to adapt and adjust, and they need to understand that we're in an era now, in a time period where it's not. I would never want anybody to say, well, it's just about you, but it's a business. You got to understand going into it.
Right.
And there's no more kind of like, doing A, B, C, D, F, G. Yep.
Yep.
So, yeah.
No, that's great. And just to wrap it up, Eddie, I know we've talked a lot about levels. You've seen us kind of throw this in the App Store. We've been developing it for a long time, and you just kind of heard my little TED talk in front of some future. I think they were future clients, right?
Yeah, 100%.
How do you feel about the app so far, and how do you feel it's going to change the game with respects to developing athletes, helping people out like you, helping coaches at the next level, helping the sports industry in general?
I think Levels App for me personally is a game changer. That's how I view it. It's a game changer from the perspective that we talk about brand, this whole NIL, name, image, and likeness. It is the ultimate hub for you to brand and help colleges, coaches, people in my space of work, help create visibility for you in order to show the world who you are, both on and off the field. You know what I mean? Because now you guys have AI-driven data and content, the ability for coaches to access student athletes from A to Z, from whatever sport it is. And then those coaches, can you imagine as a coach, now I get to go onto a app, go in there, and I can type in corners, and I can be like, I want to corner this A, B, C, D, F, G. This is kind of the profile, the athletic profile we want. You go in there, look at it, and not only that, you go look at it. Now I can also see that. I can also see from that perspective that as I go in there, I can look into it. And now identify the student athletes have the right academic profile. They have the right physical profile. Yep. They have all the different necessary things that I may be looking for as a coach right at the touch of a what?
Your fingertips.
Touch of a button.
That's right.
So, but more importantly, what I like about it is that the student athletes get a chance to literally, genuinely be able to create their own profile there and be able to communicate to other players, other coaches, be in a community of people who are literally, man, like bridging the game to success for the next wave of future athletes.
That's the goal.
You know what I'm saying? And you guys, I want to commend you guys, Dark Visor and Levels App, for being who you guys are in the sports and athletic community, because at the end of the day, the wave of sports needs to have what I call gatekeepers. And you guys are the gatekeepers. You guys are literally changing the game while keeping the principles, the morals, and the code of honor. You know what I'm saying? To continue on that legacy of what we learn. You know what I mean? And I don't think you guys realize the impact, that life impact that you guys are creating, because it's not just creating these opportunities for these kids, but you're also maintaining the culture of sports and athletics. And I hope you guys will continue to be, the mandate and the call, you know what I'm saying?
Harness that purity.
Harness that.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to lose that. Because if we lose that, we're done.
Yeah.
We're done, man. There's nothing else. Now it's just check, whatever.
Yeah.
It's no more about the person. It's about what the person can do for you. And I hope sports does not continue on this path. I hope guys like you guys, who are the gatekeepers of sports in general, will use this app as a platform to really, really continue to change lives and provide opportunities for kids, both superior athletes and those who are still working in process of development. Continue to help those kids create opportunities for themselves. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And thanks for all the hard work you guys
Thank
do.
you, Eddie.
Eddie MASE,
man.
appreciate you, man. Love you,
100%.
bro.
Love y'all, man.
Did you want to give a shout out to Eddie, to MASE Training, and let people know about MASE Training?
Hey, it's easy. Visit us on IG, Mace_2.0, right? On IG, Mace_training 2.0 on Instagram. And then visit us at our website, www.macetraining.com. And if you are looking for your life to be changed from the inside out, we're the right facility for you, trust me. But when you come in here, I'm going to give you my best shot. Love y'all. God bless you, man.
Thanks, Eddie. I appreciate your time,
Appreciate you
and
guys.
thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Love y'all, man.
Love you.
guys.
Love you too, bro.
Beast mode.
Thank you.